I want to try something. I'm going to start a timer in a second, which will last for 15 seconds. And when it starts, I'm going to ask you a question. See if you can answer it in those 15 seconds. You ready? Tell me about your favourite hobby for 15 seconds. And go. 15, 14, 13, 12. Are you doing it yet? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, wrap it up, 3, 2, 1. Now, how did that go? Did you say anything at all? Did you just wait for me to finish, maybe? Or fast forward, or perhaps you're not even listening to the podcast anymore. But the point is this. People often assume being interviewed is easy. They've already got the answers in their head, right? And yes, they are right. They are in there. But when you need to deliver something under pressure, even the slightest pressure, it's amazing how much your brain will let you down. Ideas that flow naturally among friends seem hard to find. Not much use if you've been invited to appear on a podcast. When I appeared on one the other day, the interviewer started questioning me on my beliefs. In that moment, even the preparation that I'd done didn't help. I had to dig deeper. And I know what you might be thinking. Just look at your notes. But many podcasts are now in video too, and scrabbling around for notes is going to look naff, as well as smash any credibility you might have with the audience that are seeing you, right? Yet, there is a way to overcome this. When I started researching guesting, as it's called, I found that there isn't a single top-line celeb or global expert who hasn't had some sort of media training. You know, do you think a single guest goes on Joe Rogan, Jimmy Kimmel or Graham Norton without some sort of preparation? Of course not. The top experts and the celebs all have some sort of media training. You know, have you ever seen or heard a bad or boring guest on a show or a podcast? Of course you have. Have you ever turned off one? Of course, I have as well, of course. Those are the people who didn't prepare. Now, you're probably thinking, but I can't afford that sort of media training, and you'd probably be right again. I thought about getting some media training myself, and then I realised as I researched more and more that actually you can get about 90% of it for free. You see, I used to do media training too. I've been on the other side of things, showing people how to do it. And I've been at other sessions with other trainers as well. And I know how this stuff happens. But being on the other side, being the person interviewed, is different. And I wanted to get my skills up to speed. So how did I do that? Because this all sounds like quite a bit of hassle, right? Well, let me sell you on the benefits. Why should you bother appearing as a podcast guest for starters? This is what I personally have found trying it out over the past few weeks. Number one is exposure, because you're going to reach other people's audiences. You know, they get to hear about you and your show and your brand if you've developed a strong brand or one that you're trying to put across. If I can get that audience of a totally different show to think, who is this I'm watching or who is this I'm listening to now? Then I've got them. You know, if I can get them to think, I like that person, I want to hear more what they're saying, then it's worked. Networking is another thing as well, because when you appear on another podcast, you get to connect with the podcaster on a level that you simply wouldn't do in any other way. You know, I've chatted with counsellors, with interview experts, with marketers, all sorts of people. And yeah, of course you can learn a lot of stuff by listening to a podcast, but to be able to interact with the host and share ideas after the recording on a one-to-one basis is absolutely fantastic. But as I say, none of these benefits are going to be coming my way or your way or anyone's way if we go on a show and we're dull, because we're probably not going to get invited back again. Now, there are a lot of media trainers out there, and if you can afford it, as I say, great. But this podcast is for the rest of us, and this is the solution that I've found. Media training really is just about practicing in a safe environment and getting some pointers along the way to help you develop your message. And you can do that, as I say, pretty much for free. So this is how I did it. Firstly, I wrote down a few topics that I thought I could talk about based on my career and experiences that would just rattle off my head. I deliberately picked topics that I felt really confident about so that I could access them and get stories and things that I'd shared with other people before, or at least were really familiar with me. I put this then on a website, and I named it with a very catchy title. I called it richardmidson.com, which you can probably guess why I came up with that title. Then I added a biography page, a bit about who I was, because let's face it, as a podcaster, you're going to want to know who the guest is. And then I added a section on what I believe. And I put some fairly strong opinions on there, and a selection of them for podcasters to latch onto and say, yeah, I'm not interested in that bit, but I might be interested in that bit. I didn't niche at this stage, as I say. I didn't just go, this is all I can talk about. My goal is to appear and to get this media training practice. Now, all these things are the kind of things that you're going to get suggested in some kind of media training. And in fact, I also rediscovered a technique to reach way beyond my natural audience as well for my podcasters, which I'll share in a future show. Doing this could expand my reach to many, many more people. And it's actually a relatively simple thing to do. So then I went onto Facebook and I started looking for places to appear. But here's the critical bit. On any size of show, it didn't matter whether the host was just starting out with no audience at all or they got a few. The best practice is going to be doing it. And of course, on smaller shows, the risk is going to be much, much smaller. Plus, these shows could be huge in a year's time. And what better way to make a friendship now than by supporting them at this stage? So it's win-win for both of us. So I've set myself a goal of 6 appearances by the end of the year, which I think is going to be a good bit of practice. I have learned so much stuff already just by doing different types of shows with different topics. You know, some people I know, like Tibor Nagy, who I appeared on his show, aim to do it almost every week. But I think 6 is a good number to get sort of feeling like you're getting up to speed. And then, as I say, the bookings started coming in. I have learned so much and I've rediscovered so much over these first few appearances that I'm going to be sharing over the coming weeks on this podcast here. But I am left wondering one other thing. I used to use these techniques on traditional TV and on traditional radio. And I know that the stuff is helping me, but I'm really wondering if this would help other people. You know, I can pull into this stuff. I can pull into my own experience and memories. Does this stuff work with podcasting just as well as it worked with TV and radio? I would like to see. So here's my suggestion. As I say, I used to teach this stuff. So what I would like to know is if one of you listening right now or watching this would like to do an experiment with me, just a one-off experiment to see whether it works, whereby we'll do a live YouTube show and we will run through whatever is your topic or your thing that you're trying to get across. And then I will share with you the techniques that I've been learning over the past few weeks and my experience from the past and see if it then works for you. So no charge, nothing like that. This is all purely just an experiment I want to do. If you would like to, then email me, info@richardmidson.com, info@richardmidson.com. I'll put it on the screen. And as I say, we'll do it on YouTube because then hopefully other people will be able to benefit from it too. You know, the bottom line of this stuff is I really enjoy it, and I think you can get a sense of this. I really enjoy doing this stuff and researching it, and it's the kind of thing that even after I finished in full-time media, I still was going to events and parties and meetups, and I was sitting down at tables hearing people telling their stories, and you couldn't help but try to help them in getting their message right and getting them towards appearing on the media. And now, of course, on podcasts. You know, everyone from like politicians to, I remember a person who was developing a hyper-efficient battery for an electric car. And they had a, put it bluntly, they had a terrible story for the media. And it was really good fun to work with them and come up with a media plan for them. But anyway, that's irrelevant. With each appearance that I have done on these podcasts, I have learned so much about my message and how to prepare for it as well. And I'm going to be talking about that over the coming episodes. I've got so much more to share with you. Remember, this is a live experiment. I don't claim to be an expert in podcasting. I don't think anyone really is an expert in podcasting. We're all learning. But what I am is a former journalist who's determined to find the answers to how to be the best. So subscribe and like this podcast as well. And please do follow along and let me know your thoughts too. Next time, how I've been getting booked. Have a great week.